Have you ever noticed how sharing a little too much with your family can leave you feeling tangled up instead of closer to them? It's something many of us don't expect, especially after 65. You sit down with the best intentions, wanting to be open, to keep that bond strong, but somehow, it stirs up more stress than peace. I've been there myself, thinking honesty was always the answer. I thought if I just told them everything, it would show them I trusted them. But over time, I realized something quietly powerful. Not every truth needs to be spoken. Not because it's shameful, but because peace in this stage of life is worth protecting. You earn that right after all you've been through. So, in this video, I want to talk with you, not lecture, just talk about 5 things I've learned are better kept to yourself after 65. Not to be secretive, but to be wise. Let's start with the first, because they're ones we often stumble into without even realizing. First up is your detailed financial situation. I get it, we've been told it's good to be upfront with family about money, especially as we get older. You might think it'll ease their minds or prepare them for later. But here's what I've seen happen too many times. The moment you lay it all out, your bank balance, your pension, your plans for the house, things change. Take Martin, for example. He's 81, a retired engineer who always prided himself on being organized. A while back, he decided to share everything with his 2 sons, spreadsheets and all. He thought they'd appreciate knowing he had it under control. Instead, they started asking questions. Dad, why keep the big house? Shouldn't you downsize? One even offered to move in to help with his finances. It came from love, sure, but Martin felt like he'd handed over the reins to his own life. Even buying a new pair of shoes turned into a discussion. He told me he wished he'd kept it simpler, just the basics, like a will, instead of the whole picture. Here's the thing, when you share every financial detail, it's hard to take it back. People start feeling entitled to weigh in, and not always with bad intentions. Sometimes it's cousins you haven't seen in years asking about their share. Your money is yours, earned through decades of sweat and smart choices. You don't owe anyone a full report. My advice? Share what's essential, like a will or who's got power of attorney, when the time feels right. Keep the rest private, not because it's a secret, but because it's your freedom. You deserve to spend or save without a family vote. Now, let's talk about something we all deal with, those little health hiccups. After 65, maybe your knees ache after a walk, or you're not sleeping as well as you used to. It's tempting to mention it over coffee with your kids. After all, it's just part of life. But watch how fast that small comment can snowball. Claire's a perfect example. She's 76, loves her garden and her dog. One day, she told her daughter her shoulders were sore from pulling weeds. Next thing she knew, her daughter had her booked for physical therapy and was calling daily to check in. Soon, Claire felt like she couldn't lift a bag of groceries without a lecture. All from one casual remark. She said it made her feel fragile, when she's anything but. That's the catch with minor health issues. What's no big deal to you can sound like an alarm bell to your family. They love you, so they worry. But that worry can turn into hovering, and suddenly, they're treating you like you can't handle your own life. Serious stuff? Share it, you need their support. But every creak or restless night. You've lived long enough to know what's worth mentioning. Keep those little things to yourself, and you'll keep your independence, too. You're not defined by a sore shoulder. You're the person who's still out there living, laughing, and tending your garden. So, we've started with 2 big ones, your finances and those small health bumps. They're easy traps to fall into, but once you see how they can shift your peace, you'll want to know what's next. Stick with me, we're heading into more secrets that'll help you hold onto your calm and your strength. Now that we've got those first 2 under our belts, let's keep going. Life after 65 is full of moments where you're tempted to spill everything to the people you love. Sometimes it feels like the right thing to do. But here's what I've learned, our words have a way of rippling out, touching corners of our relationships we didn't expect. The next 2 secrets are about keeping your place in the family steady and your heart light. They're tricky ones, because they sneak up in everyday chats, But once you see them for what they are, you'll feel that peace settle in a little deeper. Let's talk about family arguments first. By now, you've seen it all: siblings bickering over who said what, kids stressing about their own kids, maybe even an old grudge that pops up at Thanksgiving. And because you've got all this experience, it's easy to want to step in, share a little wisdom, maybe smooth things over. But hold on a second, sometimes that backfires. Take Miriam, a friend of mine who's 80 and sharp as a tack. She's the kind of person everyone turns to for advice. One afternoon, she was chatting with her daughter and mentioned that her 5-year-old grandson might start picking up his toys. It was just a passing thought, nothing harsh. But her daughter heard it as a jab at her parenting. Before long, the phone stopped ringing as much, and Miriam felt a distance she couldn't quite bridge. She told me she never meant to judge, just to help, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. That's the thing about sharing your opinions on family conflicts. Even a whisper can sound like a shout to someone else. You might try to settle a spat between your kids, only to have them both think you're picking sides. Or you nudge your son about how his wife handles the grandkids, and suddenly, he's not as chatty. It's not that your heart's in the wrong place, it's that people hear through their own feelings, not yours. You end up tied to the problem instead of being the steady hand you wanted to be. So, here's what works for me: I don't jump into every fight I'm invited to. If someone asks, I might say, I trust you'll figure it out, or I'm here, but I'm not picking teams. Then I step back. It's not cold, it's kind. You let them sort it out, just like you did all those years ago. Your peace stays intact, and so does theirs. Next up is something quieter, but it carries weight: those personal regrets we all have. Maybe it's a job you didn't take, a trip you never booked, or a dream that faded along the way. We've all got a few of those tucked away. Sometimes, they slip out when you're talking with your kids or grandkids. Maybe you're just thinking out loud. But be careful there. Norma learned this the hard way. She's 79, a retired teacher with a big heart. One day, she was walking with her daughter and said, I wish I'd chased that dream to travel when I was younger. It was a fleeting thought, not a complaint. But her daughter's face fell. She took it as proof that raising her had held Norma back. That wasn't true, not even close, but the words landed heavy. Norma said she spent weeks wishing she'd kept it to herself. Regrets are funny like that. What feels like a small confession to you can hit someone else like a guilt trip. Say you mention wishing you'd worked longer, and your son wonders if he wasn't enough. Or you talk about a town you never moved to, and your daughter thinks you weren't happy raising her. It's not what you mean, but it's what they hear. And the more you dwell on those what-ifs out loud, the more folks might see you as stuck, not thriving. You've got every right to feel those things, they're yours. But they're also precious, better held close than laid out for everyone. Try this instead: swap I wish I had for I've learned so much from the life I've lived. It's still true, still you, but it lifts everyone up instead of pulling them down. Your peace comes from carrying your story with grace, not unloading it where it might hurt. We're moving right along, aren't we? These secrets are all about finding that sweet spot, loving your family without giving away your calm. There's one more waiting for us, and it's a big one that ties it all together. Let's keep going. You're going to love where this takes us. All right, we've covered a lot of ground together, haven't we? By now, you're probably seeing how the little things we say, or don't say, can shape the life we get to live after 65. The last secret we're diving into today is one that feels like it should be shared, especially if you're someone who likes to keep things fair and clear. But trust me, it's one that can stir up more trouble than it's worth. After that, I'll wrap things up with a few thoughts to carry you forward, because you deserve every bit of peace you can hold on to. So, let's talk about your plans for splitting up your assets. You've heard it before: don't leave your family in the dark, let them know what's coming. And sure, there's some wisdom there. Having a will and someone you trust to handle things is a must. But here's where it gets sticky: telling everyone the nitty-gritty of who gets what, when, and how. That's a different story. Edna's living proof. She's 83, a retired nurse with a heart of gold and 3 grown kids she adores. A while back, she sat them down and laid out her plans, how she'd sell the house, split the money, even who'd get her grandmother's ring. She thought it'd bring them together, avoid surprises. But instead, it split them apart. Her middle son started pushing her to sell the house now, saying the market was perfect. Her daughter got upset, wondering why the shares weren't exactly even. And her youngest just clammed up, uneasy about the whole thing. Edna said it broke her heart. She felt like they stopped seeing her and started seeing dollar signs. That's what happens when you share too much about your estate plans. It's not always greed, sometimes it's just human nature. People start expecting things, comparing, or even nudging you to change your mind. You might hear, "Why keep that old car if it's going to so-and-so, or shouldn't you save more for us?" It's subtle, but it builds. Before you know it, you're not just enjoying your days, you're defending them. I'm not saying skip the planning. You need that will, that legal setup. But the details? Those don't need a family meeting. Keep them with your lawyer or that one person you trust to carry it out. Your kids don't need a sneak peek. They need you, the real you, not a preview of what's left behind. Your life's not a balance sheet. It's a legacy of love and strength. Protect that, and you protect your freedom to live it. So, here we are, with 5 secrets in our pocket, your detailed finances, those minor aches and pains, your take on family fights, those old regrets, and now your asset plans. Each one's a choice. Share too much, and you might lose a little of that calm you've earned. Hold back just right, and you keep your independence, your relationships, and your joy. Peace after 65 isn't something that just happens. It's something you build, one quiet decision at a time. Next time you're about to open up, ask yourself, is this worth sharing, or is it better kept close? That little pause can keep you standing tall, living life on your terms. I'd love to know what you think. Which of these hit home for you? Maybe you've already decided to keep something to yourself, like your savings or a wistful thought about the past. Drop it in the comments. Say, I've decided to keep my health stuff to myself, or whatever feels true. Your story might light the way for someone else watching this. And if this chat's given you a spark to guard your peace, hit that like button and subscribe. We're a community here, folks over 60 who want to live with dignity, strength, and a whole lot of calm. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Here's to your golden years. May they be full of freedom, love, and the kind of peace that feels like home. See you next time.